welcome to Model Kit Stuff. It's First Impressions Day today, and we're looking at this. It's His Majesty's brig Adder from 1797 in 1:64 scale. Welcome everyone, my name is Jason. Yes, First Impressions Day, and a wooden ship. This one is going to be the fourth build I do in the Absolute Beginners series, so give you an idea of what we'll be tackling at the back end of that series. And I chose this kit because we've got more involved rigging primarily, and before you go off on your merry way building whatever you fancy. So this is a Vanguard Models kit. It's kit number VM15, so the 15th kit from Vanguard Models. And we've got some little information here on the box. Tells us that the overall length is 615 millimeters, hull length is 409 millimeters, height is 493 millimeters, so that's not too bad actually, just under half a meter. And width overall is 208, so I take it that's from the furthest tip of the yards, not extended for the sails, as there's no sails with the kit. Tells us that we've got an exact scale model of one of the acute class gun brigs, equipped with 2 shank sliding keels. That's the name of the captain that invented them, as I recall, and armed with 12 18-pounder carronades and 2 24-pounder long guns. So mainly a carronade, slightly different rig on a carronade than a cannon. So the rigging won't be supplied in the kit for the carronades. That's something you'll have to do yourself if you wish to. Tells us that we've got laser cut material, including pearwood, plywood and MDF, double planked hull with limewood and pearwood, laser cut and laser engraved deck, 3 photo etched brass sheets, dowels, blocks, deadeyes and rigging thread, fittings in wood and 3D printed resin, full colour English instruction manual with photographs plus 11 full size plan sheets. So all standard fare for Vanguard Models. We've got a lovely picture here on the top, plus technical drawings and some close-up shots, and it comes in a really nice corrugated lid and bottom, but the shipper that this comes in is double corrugated. I nearly said it was double, but it's not. And then you can see how well packed it is. There's lots of thought in the process of packing this. So you've got bits in small boxes so they can't get lost or damaged. You've got bits in bubble wrap, and the plans come in a heat sealed bag so they can't move around and get damaged. So that's the packaging. Let's have a look at the instructions. So the build manual is the usual Vanguard Models format. We've got a nice ring binder, which means you're not folding big sheets of paper and trying to find where you are. Got some nice images of the completed model on the front. And what is interesting is that she's got a white painted hull. You could choose to copper her actually if you wanted. So we start with a bit of history, then it tells us about the kit, asks us to carefully read the instructions before you get going. Then there's some recommended tools and other products, and then we start the hull construction with a keel base and support, so basically a jig. So a little bit of a different approach to what we've seen in the past from kits I've reviewed by Vanguard. So that's quite interesting. But yeah, we're basically putting the false keel in, and then putting in the bulkheads, normal sort of practice. Then then we've got another support going in. You can see there. You end up with a very rigid hull usually with Vanguarg kits, from the ones I've reviewed, and the one singular that I've built past this stage. So yeah, lots of little things going in, making sure that all the bulkheads are nice and square. The little locking pins that they use, yeah, you don't have to mess around with jigs and with set squares and all that sort of stuff, trying to make sure everything's square. It's designed to do that for you. Of course, if you put enough effort in, you can get it wrong if you really try. But yeah, if you follow the instructions and make sure everything fits, you should be good. Then we're putting in rear bulkhead there. We've got some beams going in. Then we've got the pieces, this fan-shaped piece here, which is going to put the formers in at the front. We've got a false deck going in, and then we can see the formers being assembled, and there they are. Strengthening the whole assembly with the glue, and then removing this sort of jig that we've had it sat on. Then we're fairing the hull. Then we're putting in the keel, gunport templates. You can see all the lovely colour photographs clearly showing what's going on. So you've got text telling you, you've got photographs, and of course you've also got plans for cross-reference. So you can see there what they've done. I'm not reading this, but they'll have soaked the part, put it on there, let it dry, taken it off, and then glued it into place and clamped it back on. So there you go, and that'll give you the start for the first planking. Then we've built up the little build stand, and planking is actually starting here with the garboard plank. So that's interesting. Planking is actually starting before we've put the full length of the keel in, which is interesting. Yeah, we can see that being put in. Then we've got some conversation about how to tackle the first planking, and you can see it being held into place there with nails and clamps and things. Alright, okay. Then we've got second plank on, third plank. They're showing you lots of pictures as you progress through this. All very nice. There we go, and then it's being sanded. We're putting in stern patterns at the bottom there and filing that so that it's in line with the hull. Then we're putting the keel in. Then what happens is we add covering pieces onto your prow there, and doing that creates this little rabbit line for your final planking, which is really nice. You're not having to dig that out yourself. You can see it quite clearly there. Yeah, so then more templates, so you're not planking from the very top, which gives us the opportunity to have both more detail and mark out the placement of items as well, which is really useful for when you're putting all the decorative parts, ladders and so forth on. So journey with the second planking, and we can see all that is on and has been given a first sand. Stern post going in, rudder being made up, probably not being fitted, but so that it can be painted at the same time. And it's the same process as you've seen me do with the Sherborne. then gluing the upper patterns on because the painting's not been done, so I'm not sure whether I'll do it that way or not. Then we're removing the bulkhead tops where they're sitting proud of the false deck so that we can get all that sanded down and smooth. Laser cut deck going in, then we've got the inside bulwarks going on. If you've ever built a Vanguarg kit, this is all very familiar. Then cutting out the gun port holes, the oar holes as well. Then you're putting in the inner panelling there, and they're talking about whether you want to paint it or not. Then we've got inner bulwark rails being done, and we can see that, so that's going, there's a lot of railing there to put in, including some curved parts. That'll be interesting. And then you can see that all painted up there. Then we're doing the whales, plopping that on. Then we've got outer rails going on. And we're painting a certain amount of the upper hull, so I'm just masking off to do that. Then we've got the channels being made up, fitting the channels, and then we're ready to start putting the final bits on the hull. So we've got the outer stern board going in there. That looks really cool, seems to slide behind the stern post. The gunwales being fitted. Then we've got the chest trees, that's these parts here that sort of run down the side of the ship. Cat heads. Photo etch Bailey pins. Bit of a double-edged sword, photo etched Bailey pins on the positive, the in scale, so that's better than a lot of Bailey pins you get. Downside is that they're flat and don't look very 3D, so you know, some people may choose to change them. It's personal choice at the end of the day. But we're adding those, we're adding some various cleats and bits and pieces. Then we're doing the dead eyes, which come in 3-part chain down to the hull, and we've got some cleats and bits and pieces going on. All the eye bolts for the carronades. Then we're starting to make up gratings, pumps, capstans. Looks quite involved, the capstan, but looks really nice with the laser etched detail there. Then we're building up the ship's wheel, which has the rope on. Then we've got various bits being made up, along with, what's that, a winch? Yeah, some form of winch. It's the winch for the, actually, how cool is that? Actually attached to the little paddles that sort of, I'm sure that's not the word, but basically these are the bits that slide up and down through the hull. So that's really cool that you can actually attach the rope, and I wonder if you can actually make that work. Wouldn't that be cool? No reason why it wouldn't, I don't think, if you glued it up carefully. So we can see those being installed, we can see the slots. They did make these ships a little bit damp, they were a bit leaky, but yeah, we can see them in place. That's very cool. Building up the ladders, I've got to say Vanguard's ladders are some of the best ladders I've come across in the wooden model ship world. Then we're building up the carronades, and Yep, they look nice, but they're also in pear wood, so you can leave them natural if you want, or paint them up in red or indeed in yellow ochre if you wanted. Then we're building up the 2 cannons. They look very nice. All the eyes there, so if you want to rig them, you can. Yep, all looks really good. 3D printed barrels, so the barrels look great. They've got coats of arms on and so on. Then we've got a little bit of rope railing there. We've got the seat of the mast. Yeah, then we've got the tiller arm being put in. So rudder installed, chimney from the galley being installed, anchor ropes being installed. All good. Starting to take shape now, isn't it? You can see it's quite involved though. Then we're making up the anchors, and they're being temporarily left to hang. They'll get tied on later on, no doubt. And the proper display stand is made up now, and you can see that's where we've got to. So quite a simple line, isn't it? So it's good that they put these little reference pictures in. You can see also, I've not mentioned this, you can see these little racks there for putting the hammocks in, which just give extra protection when they're in battle. So you could make up some hammocks out of cloth and tie them up and then put them in there. That would look quite cool. Look a bit like sandbags. Very similar idea. So with all of that done, we are then on masting and rigging. Please note the following stages are supplementary to the plan set. It's the point where you're following the plans and using this for reference rather than following the instructions and using the plans for reference, which you were doing up until now. Normal fare for most wooden ships. But we've got some nice photos of the cross trees and the tops being made up, the masts and what have you. They look super. So there they are, made up. That all looks nice. There's no detail on how to do the little rope work on there, but we'll show you when we come to do it. It might be on the plans, possibly. Then we've got booms and yards being made up. You can see these are a bit more complicated than what we'll have done in the other builds. Then we've got shrouds being done, rat lines being done. If only they went up as quick as reading them in the book. That would be wonderful. Yeah, so there's some nice close-up photographs of various parts of the rigging. We have a mouse there, so you'll need to reference where that is on the plans. I don't know how they've done it, whether that's supplied or what. If it's not, I can show you how to make one. And then more pictures of the finished model, completely rigged, which is great because you can reference actual photographs as to what that should look like. And it does look really nice when it's done. Yeah, nice little ship. And then we have our parts list for reference throughout the build. There we go. And yes, I have been through it and crossed everything off. So there we go. That's the instruction manual. Let's have a quick look at the plans. So our first 3 sheets deal with basically the parts, frets of wood, and also the photo etch parts. Then we've got the hull supplementary plans, and we've got 3 of those, and they're basically showing, let's show you this last one, they show you the positions of various fittings. So let me just unfold this and you can see how big they are. Big, these will be the largest set of plans we'll have dealt with during the 4 builds. but you can see we've got all the positions marked on there, including eye bolts. They're really clear plans. They're clearly printed and not photocopied. We can see here those winches and everything installed where our deck ladders go to. Looks great. We've got orientation for pinning of the dead-eye chains. All looks great, doesn't it? And all the part numbers being shouted out so you can cross it off as you go. So really good, clear plans. Which leaves us with 6 plans, all focused on masts and rigging. So you've got all sorts of images here, but let's show you one with some nice rigging on. So here, where we've got shrouds and ratlines, you can see what they do is they shout out all the blocks and dead eyes, the rigging threads, so it's easy to identify what you should be using. They're using these letters for everything. So you can see here where it says F there, you know, you should be using the 0.5mm black thread. And if you look in your plan at the back of your parts list, at the back of your instructions, it will give you a part number, and you need that because the part numbers are written on the rigging threads, not the diameters. But yeah, we can see all of that. So nicely detailed. We've got little close-ups of how to do the clothes hitches on your shrouds. We've got process flow for the dead eyes, gammoning detail, although not how to tie it off and hide the knots and things. So this is not a beginner's kit. This is a novice kit, which means there's sort of an expectation that you've probably built 1 or 2 small kits before you tackle this. But yeah, really nice detail. Yeah, can't fault the plans. Lovely. So this is our box of threads, and you can see most of it is coming on spools, and like I say, each spool has a part number on them rather than a diameter. I'm likely to go and write the diameter on, because when you're using the plans and you're fishing out the threads that you need, it's quicker to look for the diameter than cross-reference the part number. Either that, or you're going to write the part number against that list of threads on the plans. But rather than constantly cross-referencing, you need to do one of those two. So you can see we've got effectively 3 different colours of thread. There's a slight tonal difference between these two. I suspect different manufacturers. So yeah, this is the German thread, sewing thread. So yeah, lots of different diameters, all good quality. The stuff in the bag comes in a Ziploc bag, is also labelled up, as is the anchor rope there. So all very nice quality, looks really fabulous. In our other box, we've got effectively all the other bits that you're going to need. So we've got 3D printed, oh, these are nice. That's for the winches. So we've got 3D printed winches. We've got the carronade wheels, the carronade guns, anchors, and long guns. They're a chunky gun, aren't they? And they're all 3D printed resin, and even though they're printed in black, you still do need to paint them. Then we've got some black cartridge paper. We've got cannonballs, 2 different sizes. These are steel, so you can chemically blacken those. You've got your obligatory brass nails, and then what else have we got here? Now we've got our parabola beads, 2 different sizes, and again, I mean, they're really nice quality. You've not got any misshape on ones, which you often get in other manufacturers' kits. It's all high quality stuff and they look great. So we've got those as well, and then the rest of it is wooden blocks. So let's take a closer look at those and the resin parts. So amongst our wooden blocks, we've got 2 different sizes of dead eyes. We've got 3 different sizes of single blocks, thimbles, and some double blocks. So most of the rigging work we're going to be doing is through single blocks, even though there's quite a bit of it to be done. What I say is, for non-machine blocks, these are really high quality. As I look at the dead eyes, you know, you've not got lots of wonky eyes and 3 eyes in a row and that sort of stuff, and off center and stuff. They all look well done. Yeah, very nice blocks those actually. So you're not going to have any issues with rigging any of these. Really nicely done. So no issues at all with the wood blocks. So the cannons are 3D printed resin. They look absolutely splendid. We've got the coat of arms on there. We've got the match plate on there at the back, looks really nice. You've got all the little detail on there, all the different ring shapes, and nice authentic barrel end. You may want to give, there's a little bit of a witness of the layering of the printer on the end there, so you may want to give it a gentle wet and dry before you paint it. And the same at the back, where you can just about see the witness of the casting block. See if we can capture that in the light, can we? There we go. See those little dots? So you just might want to sand those out a little bit. But otherwise, that's really beautiful cannon, and I do prefer them to the cast metal ones. The tightness of the detail is so superior to anything else you can get. And of course, turned brass ones, you can't have things like coats of arms on, so I prefer them to machined ones as well. Really, really nicely done. Anchors, we've seen these before in other reviews, fairly standard stuff. They're nicely done, nice and thin, a little bit of cleanup to do on the leading edge there, that's all. So that's the cannons. Let's have a look at the carronades. So carronades, again, really nicely done. We've got the little adjustment screw for the back on there. That's really, really nice. Have we got? Yeah, it's actually got screw detail on it. I've only got my reading glasses on, so I can't see properly. Very nice. We've got the little pivot bracket at the bottom. Nicely done with the bolt head. Yeah. No issues with that. That's a tidy little bit of casting. That very nice. So here we have the 3D printed winch barrel. 3D printing it means that you've got something that's nice and precise and looks really good, and you've got the whole pre-done for putting the thread through. The downside is you're going to have to paint that. Either in black or red, or, you know, I'd want it wood colour in the middle. Maybe there'll be enough thread around it that you don't see the middle, don't know. But that is the only downside, is having to paint them. But that's not a biggie really, is it? The carronade wheels, they actually come still attached to the printing blocks. So you have to gently remove those, but the detail is absolutely stunning. Really, really nice. And you can see all the bolt heads. So these will paint up lovely. Obviously the wooden wheels, so you're going to want to paint them. And a good colour to paint them in is a deck tan colour. When you go and look at the cannons on HMS Victory, you get that sort of slightly greyed wood colour that you get when it's been outdoors. So as these are all on deck, that's the way to go with them, I think. Right, I'm doing all the following parts in an order to allow me to pack them the way I want them to be packed in the box. So these all come grouped together and taped up, and I untape them and then I repack them so they're nice and flat. There's plenty of bubble wrap provided in the box. So what I do is I put a layer in the bottom, then I put some of the more delicate parts in, then another layer of bubble wrap and the heavier ones on top to help keep everything in place, and then the plans and other bits can go on top. So that's why we're looking at acetate first. What we've got is typical Vanguard clear acetate stand. It's very nicely done, and then we've got this lovely plaque which says His Britannic Majesty's gun brig Adder, 14 gun acute class, launched March 1797. And then at the bottom it says built at Deptford Dockyard as gun brig number 17. There we go, very nice. MDF, this is our jig that we use right at the start of the build here. So yeah, just plop that out and away you go. We're not overly interested in that because we threw it away at the end of the day. As with any Vanguard kit, all the hardwoods are pear, and that's deliberately done because it's got a very close grain and more closely assembles a scale effect. So if you are varnishing it rather than painting it all up, you should have a nice look. We can see some heat witness from the laser cutting here, but it's not intrusive at all. The laser cutting, you can see it's really nice and sharp. I mean, look at that. It's just really, really nicely done. So I recommend with parts like this that you give them a gentle sand with a very, very fine wet and dry paper first. Get all that staining off. And if you do it before you take the parts out, then you're not going to round any edges off because you've got this larger flat surface that you're sanding on. So that's a good thing to do as part of your pre-build prep. So that's the 4mm pair there with some of our bigger fittings. Then we've got a 3mm pair. Same comments apply on the laser cutting. Really nicely done. And I think they are parts of the coronades. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. Yep. And various other bits and pieces for the bits and so on. And then these doesn't have a size on here, but these will be for the anchors. You can see where the anchor's going to fit in there and get sandwiched between two of those, and then it'll get glued together. And I think the black card is used to replicate steel strapping. So all very nice. 2mm pair. And we've got the prow there, the keel, various other bits, cat heads, cross T's, the cannon trucks there. We can see the carriage, all very nice. And then we've got the stern plate there, and again, all nicely done. You can see there's plenty of spare material. So when you've cut this out, have a look at what you can save. It's always handy to keep some of that material, if for no other reason than for testing things like dyes and glues and paints for future builds. So it's always handy to keep hold of at least some of your spare material, because you've got some lovely lengths of virgin wood there. But yeah, no issues with the laser cutting. All very, very nice. So this is 0.6, so this is quite thin now, and again, lots of spare material for you in the pear wood. We've got the tiller arms, and we've got external ladders, internal ladders. They all look really nice. The steps being laser cut. I've now built a set of Vanguard's ladders, and they slot together so well. The tolerances are really tight. In fact, you almost don't need glue. So yeah, really nice detail there. And again, no issues with the laser cutting, just great quality materials and well thought through. Well, this is a larger fret, 1mm pair here, and we've got the outside final surface detail for the prow and the keel, the stern elements there. We've got some bits for the masts as well, and the cat heads. So yeah, very, very nice. I think that those will be for cannonballs, and then we've got some cleats as well. So all very nice. Worth doing a bit of research to find out whether they should be wood or should be brass, and what colour you want to paint them. Yeah, lovely detail on the rudder. That'll look splendid. You can see positions there for where you're going to place the hinge detail. 1.5mm pair, and we've got all sorts of fittings here, from gratings and the winches, which are nicely decorated, look really cool and should look nice either varnished up or painted up, whatever you're going to do with it. We've got the centre section for the rudder there and the tiller arm, and also these bits that poke out the bottom of the hull. So yeah, all really nicely done. At this end we've got the carronade bases and parts for that as well as one or two other bits that we'll be using on the masts and what have you. Lots of spaced out parts here, dead easy to get to, dead easy to find them, and again, loads of additional material, which is always handy. And yeah, just very, very nicely lasered, lots of detail, looks really good, easy to assemble. It's lovely. 1mm pair with our tops and various bits that we're going to mainly for the masts, but we have got the top rails here, which it gives you a nice idea of the overall size of the hull. So pretty decent meaty length of ship that we've got here. Quite a lot of holes there for fittings for eyes and what have you. So, and nicely detailed joints in the planks there. So very nicely considered, lots of detail packed in on these tops. I mean, just look at how much detail is being rammed into these. Really, really nice. And you can either accentuate those, you know, you can blacken the heads to make them look like nails, or you can drill them out and put nails in, or do whatever you want depending on your skill and your inclination. But yeah, very, very nicely done. Yeah, can't fault those. You're going to put that on top of there, and then that's probably going to fit in there and form your back rail. So yeah, all lovely done. The quality of the wood throughout is excellent, so we've not got any knots or shakes and weaves and things that are ruining the effect. So if you want to varnish it and not paint it up at all, it will look stunning. So this sheet has got our whales on and our outer patterns there. Again, absolutely rammed with detail, all the nail positions brought out for you. We've got marked out the positions of the ladders and various other things, and then cut into it where we're going to put be mounting our dead eyes and things. So as long as you line this up correctly, and it's difficult not to get it pretty much bob on, then everything else should be okay. There's always a bit of lining it up and making sure both sides are equal. That's always a little bit challenging, but look at how much better that looks than planking it all and then trying to measure positions to put things. I just think it's the way forward. It really is. Really nicely done. Okay, these are our inner bulwarks. Again, lots of lovely detail. I think these are the inner, or are they the outer? It's a bit hard to tell. I think they're definitely, no, they are definitely the inner. And that's our cat head position there and there. And then we've got these inner and outer rails, and then we've got this which goes along the bottom of the deck and covers up all your little gaps and things. Yeah, and it just looks beautiful. It really, really does. Yeah, very, very nicely done. Great lasering, great quality materials, lots of detail. I just love it. First of the 3 of our fretch of photo etch. This says 0.4mm on it. And we've got in here, we've got the centre bit of the ship's wheel, and then we've got tons and tons of bits for the rigging. Actually, these parts are for the pump. But we've got these parts all for the dead eyes. And then we've got all these hooks and eye bolts for the rigging, and the various rigging posts. And then these at the bottom are for go on the top rail there, so that you can put your hammocks in. And I suspect this is our chimney, and we have to bend that, so that probably is going to want a bit of soldering in. You'll want to anneal that first, I think, because it's quite thick brass. So anneal it, bend it, solder it, chemically blacken it maybe, or paint it, not sure. I'd have to think about that at the time. But yeah, all very nicely done. Some nice relief etching, which will be helpful in 1 or 2 places. Yeah, really nice, and nicely spaced out, so easy to get to, with the part numbers clearly against them all really good. Our second lot of photo etch is even thicker at 0.6, and you can really feel the difference. It's quite a heavy fret, this. And we've got our uppermost top trees there, and our Bailey pins and various other bits and pieces, cleats and what have you. So yeah, all nicely etched, I have to say, and yeah, all very nice. Some of this you'll be chemically blackening, some of it will need painting. And then finally a 0.2 sheet, which feels like foil after that 0.6. And we've got bits to finish the ship's wheels, some bits for the masts, and the hinge brackets for your rudder. So yeah, all nicely done. 2mm MDF, and when it's MDF, you know it's parts that ultimately you're never going to see. It's all to do with forming the hull and the hull shape. So part numbers are already put on, so you don't have to go through your plans and then draw the numbers on and then realise you wrote the number in a place where you immediately cover up and you've forgotten what part it is. So you've got none of that. We've got the build stand ends there as well, and yeah, all sorts of bits here, false decks and strengthening bits and pieces, all nicely laser cut. Got these little locking parts as well, the tabs. Yeah, and again, they'll simply just drop out with a cut through of the tab with your Stanley knife. No clean up required or anything, just you know, click and go. 3mm MDF forms all of your bulkheads for forming your planking, and we've got some of the formers for the front there as well. Yeah, all nice and crisp in its lasering and nicely numbered and laid out, so should be easy to work your way through that lot. False deck, this is 0.8mm ply, but look at how good the quality of the ply is. You know, you're not going to get splinters from handling this like you do on some kits. So we've got the false deck, and we've also got the gun port templates, which ultimately get sandwiched to build up that thicker wall. And you can see it's got deck indication markings on it, and it's also got the position of your ribs. So really helpful when you're trying to line all that up to get it straight and get the height right, because that is a tricky part of it, and even then things can go wrong. And your false deck, which has a little line in it, so if you wanted to cut it in half and put it in 2 halves, you could do, because they put a centre line on it. But yeah, all good. And then we have our lovely laser etched deck, and I know some people prefer to lay the planks and what have you. It makes them feel like they're a shipbuilder and all that jazz, but you can't lay planks and have them ever look as good as that. It just is splendid. You've got the juggling here at the end of the planks on what is quite a harsh curve there. That'll be interesting to do. You've got a nice plank run on a 3-4 shift pattern there. Yeah, it's all really nice. It's a bit thicker than some that I've seen, so it's not going to be a problem handling it. It's just lovely. I mean, as you look at it, you don't see any issues with the wood through there. It's just perfect. And if you wanted to stain it, you've got plenty of spare material to have a play around with stains and colours and finishes before you get going. Finally, our various strip wood. We've got first layer planking strip wood, which is really nice and pliable. I mean, you don't need to be steaming that to be bending it, do you? It's really good. So yeah, and look at the quality of it. It is so nicely done. There is a lot of respect for the customer in that, because that's usually quite roughly sawn by quite a few manufacturers, and here you've got something that is of fine quality, which means it's going to be really easy to work with, and you're not going to be stopping every 3 or 4 strakes to take a splinter out and lose valuable modelling time. So excellent. Second planking is all in pear, and again you look at that and there's not even much in the way of variation in the colour, but yeah, really nice. No issues with this at all. Very nicely done. Yeah, just lovely quality materials. And then we've got our dowels of various sizes. So in this darker wood, we have got some variation of colour in there, but a good number of these smaller ones, they're going to be getting painted up. But yeah, don't they look nice? And they're lovely and smooth to the touch. You know, they're not rough. You're not going to have to sand them before you start doing anything. They are really nicely done. And then finally, we'll have one little piece of wire as well that's in with your dowels. So there you go. Make sure if you bought this kit that you take the tape off. It works well for the manufacturer. It's quick. It does the job and it's cost effective. But if you want to put this into storage for a few months, more than 6 months, then you really need to take it off to stop the adhesive sinking into your wood. So there you have it, HM gun brig of 14 guns adder, 1797 in 1/64 scale from Vanguarg models. What's my first impressions? Well, packaging is excellent. Instructions are excellent, they're well laid out. Lots of great colour photographs which you can use for reference to sense check what you're doing as you go. Plans nice and clear, well printed, look excellent. Yeah, can't fault any of that. When it comes to the materials, they're of the highest quality throughout the whole entirety of the model. So you've got, so the materials are of the highest quality throughout. You know, the rigging threads are good quality. They're not all fluffy and cheap. They've not cut corners. What all that tells you is Vanguard models really care about their customer. They want the customer to have a good experience. That means the customer's going to go back. So, you know, why wouldn't they do that? Well, lots of companies don't do that. I could reel them off. I'm not going to, but I could absolutely reel off companies that don't do that and create a lot of hard work for the modeler and put people off. People know that I'm a fan. Now, I purchased this model, so I can say what I like, and if there was things wrong with it, I'd absolutely say there's things wrong with it. But on a first look, it genuinely appears to be very, very nice. So I think this will build up really well. This is a novice model, as I said earlier, and you want to have got a couple under your belt before you tackle this. It's a bit bigger than some of the smaller ones that we're starting to build. So it will be a bit more time consuming, but if you've built a couple of Vanguard models, there is nothing here that is new or challenging or particularly difficult. Just take your time with the planking of the hull, and the rest of it will all come together fairly naturally. I think the design and the engineering is such that you don't have to think about it. It's not testing your wits. All you've got to think about is how you want to decorate it and how you want to display it. Do you want to have the masts on, or do you want them have them just part way or cut off, or are you fully rigging it, or you're not fully rigging it? Are you painting it? Are you varnishing it? Are you staining it? All of those questions are the only questions you've got. So for me, this is really, really nice. It's got lots of potential. I'll be building it straight out of the box as intended by the manufacturer. I won't necessarily paint it the same way that they have. But yeah, I think she's a splendid model. She's a little bit different with the little keel plates, and I think she should look fabulous when done. So if you're interested in the ships of Vanguard models or this particular kit, I will leave a link to Vanguard models in the text below. Do check it out. He's got lots and lots of great models there, and some really nice plans in the pipeline as well. So thank you very much for looking in. Until I next see you, you enjoy your modelling, and bye for now.